Welcome. In this video, we will explore whether front-loading your 401k before a potential layoff is a savvy financial move or a risky bet. We will move step by step through the benefits, the key risks, especially the employer match trap, and a practical checklist to decide if this is right for you. We will also include visual diagrams and quick quizzes to reinforce understanding. Let's begin. Here is the roadmap. First, we will set the context and define front-loading. Next, we will discuss why someone might front-load, followed by the crucial role of a high-yield savings account as a buffer. Then, we will dive into employer match mechanics and the true-up provision. After that, we will walk through a decision flow and checkpoints, followed by practical action steps and a brief scenario planner. We will wrap up with key takeaways and a couple of quizzes. Let's transition into the context. Front-loading is the practice of contributing aggressively to your 401k during the first few months of the year so that you reach the annual IRS contribution limit as early as possible. The goal is to secure tax-deferred or tax-free growth for the entire year, even if a layoff happens mid-year. However, this strategy introduces timing risks, particularly around employer match rules and cash flow. With that in mind, let's consider why front-loading can be compelling. There are three primary advantages. First, guaranteed max-out. If you are laid off mid-year, front-loading ensures you have already hit the contribution limit, which safeguards that year's tax-advantaged savings. Second, leveraging today's higher income. You use your current income to build retirement assets that are protected from potential future financial stress. Third, earlier compounding. Dollars invested earlier in the year benefit from more months of tax-advantaged growth. Now, let's quickly balance this with the cash buffer you need to make the strategy safe. A high-yield savings account acts as your near-term emergency fund while your take-home pay drops due to front-loading. This cash cushion keeps your bills covered without forcing you to sell investments during a downturn. If layoff risk is elevated, avoid investing this near-term buffer in volatile assets. Aim for multiple months of essential expenses in cash before you increase your contribution rate. With a buffer in place, we can turn to the biggest risk in this strategy: employer matching rules. Employer match policies differ. If your current employer matches per paycheck and has no true-up provision, front-loading can cause you to miss part of the match if your contributions end early. Inversely, if your plan includes a true-up, the employer will reconcile at year-end to ensure you receive the full match you are entitled to, regardless of contribution timing. The larger risk appears if you switch jobs mid-year after already maxing out. Because you cannot contribute further, you forego the new employer's match for the remainder of the year, potentially losing thousands in free money. Next, let's visualize the decision process. This decision tree starts with assessing layoff probability and cash coverage. If your HYSA does not cover at least several months of essentials, prioritize building cash first. Next, check whether your plan includes a true-up. If so, front-loading is generally safer. If not, and your match is per paycheck, maintain contributions through the year to capture the full match. Then, estimate how quickly you might land a new job. If you expect a long search, front-loading may still be appealing. If you expect a quick transition with a strong match, leave space to capture that future match. Finally, monitor any effects on unemployment benefits and reassess monthly. On the reward side, front-loading can lock in the annual contribution, accelerate tax-advantaged growth, and protect your retirement savings from post-layoff pressures. On the risk side, the biggest cost is missing out on a new employer's match if you already maxed out earlier in the year. Additionally, without sufficient cash reserves, the temporary reduction in take-home pay can strain your budget. Finally, if your current employer matches per paycheck and lacks a true-up, you could leave match money on the table by stopping contributions early. Review these checkpoints before acting. Confirm whether the match is per paycheck and whether a true-up exists. Ensure your HYSA covers multiple months of essential expenses. Consider your likely job search duration to decide how much room to leave for a future employer match. Review unemployment benefit rules to avoid unintended consequences. Finally, set a clear contribution plan, whether automated or manual, to capture current match and manage room for potential new match. To implement, First, estimate your financial runway and ensure your HYSA covers 4 to 6 or more months of essentials. Second, retrieve plan documents and verify match mechanics and the presence of a true-up. Third, model 2 scenarios: a full front load and a partial front load that preserves space for a future employer match. Fourth, set contribution rates to ensure you still capture your current employer's match every pay period if there is no true-up. Fifth, schedule monthly checkpoints to reassess your job search and cash needs. Sixth, understand your state's unemployment rules and how the base period is calculated. Finally, if a transition is likely, plan a contribution pause point to leave capacity to capture a new employer's match later in the year. Quiz time. Question: if your 401k plan includes a year-end true-up, how does that affect front-loading risk? Options: A. It increases the risk of losing your current employer match. B. It decreases the risk because missed per-paycheck matches are reconciled at year-end. C. It has no impact because matches are always the same regardless of timing. D. It prevents you from contributing early in the year. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is: it decreases the risk because missed per-paycheck matches are reconciled at year-end. A true-up ensures that, even if you contributed aggressively early and had low or zero contributions later, your employer will reconcile to provide the match you were eligible for based on total annual contributions. Second quiz. Question: what is the biggest financial downside of maxing out early if you start a new job later that same year? Options: A. You will pay a penalty on your contributions. B. You cannot roll over your 401k. C. You may miss the new employer's match because you cannot contribute further. D. Your old employer will claw back its match. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is: you may miss the new employer's match because you cannot contribute further. After reaching the IRS annual limit, you are not allowed to contribute additional employee deferrals, which means you will likely miss any matching contributions from a new employer for the rest of that year. Let's consider scenarios. If you expect a long search of 6 months or more, prioritizing the full year limit often makes sense because securing the tax advantage savings and earlier compounding usually outweigh potential match loss. If you expect a short search of 1 to 3 months and anticipate a strong match with the new employer, consider a partial front load so that you preserve capacity to capture the new match later in the year. If cash is tight, raise contributions more gradually. Do not compromise your ability to pay essential bills. Build your HYSA first. This timeline illustrates a typical year with front-loading in the first quarter, a potential layoff in the second quarter, job search in mid-year, and a new job starting in the fall. It marks when the IRS limit is reached and highlights how, if the limit is reached early, contributions cannot resume later, causing missed match opportunities at a new employer. The goal is to visualize how timing affects both savings and match accruals so you can plan contribution pacing accordingly. In summary, front-loading can be a strong strategy if the conditions are right. A robust HYSA buffer is essential. A true-up provision makes timing safer, while per-paycheck match structures require you to pace contributions to capture the full match. If you expect to land a new job quickly, leave room to capture the new employer's match. Finally, review unemployment rules and reassess your plan monthly. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Individual circumstances vary, and employer plan rules differ. Review your plan documents, confirm details with your HR or benefits administrator, and consult a qualified professional before making decisions. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, tell us your plan. Will you front-load fully, partially, or pace contributions? And what did you learn about your plan's match and true-up? Your insights can help others.